That's big, man. Depending on God. I remember I had one person that came on before. She has a business where she's a nanny service, and she was saying what she has done is made God her business partner. And I
Yeah.
thought that was so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And this depending on God, we something that we have to check every single day. We're going to this revival series throughout this weekend. One thing that the minister was saying on yesterday was the fact that everything we do to be to God's glory, and we have
Yeah.
to continually remind ourselves of that and never forget that. And if it's for His glory, if we seek Him first, that means every single thing else, it is actually His responsibility to take care of for us. Our responsibility is to follow Him, is to be
Yeah.
surrendered to Him, right? And
That's
He'll
right.
take care of all things. So, man, that's big, right? Depending on Jesus, man, depending on God, it's a big blessing, man. So, I want to ask you, right? Kind of go back a little bit in your story, even before the life insurance, that you've been doing for the last 7 years, and kind of ask you, when you were coming up, even growing up, for example, right? What was even your view of maybe money and finances, for example, right? As you were coming up, even as a teenager, as a young college student, right? Like, how did you view finances and money?
Yeah. Coming up, I never had a good view on it, to be
Mm,
frank. And my father, he did well, but I didn't know what that meant. Like we lived comfortably in the suburbs, and there was a lot of internal struggle though growing up for me. There was a lot of focus. Like to be very transparent, if anybody who knows me is looking at this, they'll know what I'm talking about. But if you don't,
mm,
there's a lot more to the story. So um, I grew up in a spiritual battle, with so money wasn't even a focus. I didn't it wasn't anything I ever wanted. I searched for peace and happiness and peace of
mm,
mind. I had no thought about it. And I always had a thought that money took that away. I really did. I thought that if I started going after money, I was going after comfort and I was going after selfishness, and I did not have a good view on it growing up.
mm. Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. And I think to be honest, I think that's the view that a lot of Christians have throughout, right, the world in
Mhm.
different places. This view that to go after this thing, right, or even I would say more even to have ambition in a sense, right, is a negative thing, or is a thing that, man, that's not godly, or that's against my Christian values or beliefs. I guess what was it that you know made you say to, well, no, me actually having a goal or having an ambition or even having a desire to accomplish something specifically, right, that may be in the business realm, for example, right, that this thing is not ungodly. What was it that actually helped to make that switch, or to change your mind on some of those things?
Yeah, so I never had a focus on it growing up. And I did reach a point in my adult life to where I decided, and I don't want to say like I turned my back on God. I was always a faithful person, but there's a difference, I think, between being a worshiper of Christ and being, just kind of going and checking things out.
Hmm.
So before I truly gave my life to Christ, I think there was also that, I'm gonna do what I want to do. So when I started, and this is I think really good to know, when I started my pursuit in the business world, it was to make more money. That was my goal. My goal was I want to make more money. And I did not have my focus on God's will at that time. I was not like, hey, I want to know what God has in store for me. I wasn't checking in. And I started and I was making more money, and my spiritual life was depleting. My relationship with God was falling apart. And my family life was falling apart. And I thought, dang it, it's the money for sure. So I'm leaving. I'm stopping.
Mm,
So I stopped the business completely. I did a lot of soul searching. I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of ministry, a lot of seeking wise counsel, because I was twisted. I felt like I was double minded, and you read about that. I noticed my relationship with God was depleting faster and faster, and same thing with the family. And I said, wait a second, like I got to look at this. And as I examined it, and as I prayed, and as I became more educated, and as God gave me wisdom, and as I was seeking Him first,
mhm,
realized that He was calling me to this, and it wasn't for me to focus on the money. The money will come. It was for me to focus on helping the people, and the money is a tool.
mm.
It's one of God's tools that he gives. He gives it all. He gives it all to all of his children. It's not vehicles. Vehicles aren't evil. Money isn't evil. People, we have the ability to make choices, and we can choose how we use the money. We can choose what we do with that money. Are we giving some back to God? Are we surrendering to God? What is our focus? And for me, all I can say is when my focus was the initial pursuit on gathering as much as I could, it left me empty. And it's so cliche. It's written all over. I mean, we read it over and over again. But when I gave it to God and said, you do what you want, here I am, Lord, use me. You do what you want. If you want me to go back here, I'll do that. If you want me to go somewhere else, I will. But and he's using it as a tool for me and for everybody else. It's a tool, and there's nothing wrong. It can be used for a lot of good. I think we were on our first conversation. I'll end this rant here.
Oh, it's good.
You can build a lot of wells. You can build a well overseas in Zambia for like $2,500, and that's water to a tribe. Not only is that water to a tribe, but that's water that brings something to drink, but to water their crops. And now you're growing crops, and you have animals. So it's $2,500. You could save lives, start lives, help. I mean, it's and people don't. I didn't realize it's not a lot. You can do feeding of the thousands. Jesus shows you can do a lot with a little. With faith.
Thanks for watching the Lion and Lambo podcast. We hope this clip has been a huge blessing to you. And we want to remind you that we drop new videos, new podcast episodes every Sunday at 9 o'clock. You can find the full episode by clicking the card up at the top right of this video. If you prefer an audio-only experience, then we want to let you know that we're streaming through every major podcast streaming platform. For the full list, you can go to www.lionandthelambo.com. Until next time, go impact the world.